July 15, 1410, two armies stood poised on the fields of Tannenberg, ready to decide the fate of Central Europe. This wasn't merely a battle. It was the explosive climax of centuries of rivalry, ambition, and shifting alliances. To grasp the magnitude of this clash that would reverberate through medieval Europe, we must journey back to the origins of this historic struggle. The rise of the Teutonic Order. In the early 13th century, a band of crusading knights established the Teutonic Order in the Holy Land, sworn to defend Christianity and spread its influence. Clad in white mantles emblazoned with black crosses, their mission was noble yet fierce. By the mid-13th century, however, their focus shifted northward to the Baltic, where they sought to conquer the pagan tribes, peoples who had yet to embrace the Christian faith, and carve out a dominion of their own. By 1300, they had subdued Prussia, transforming it into a militarized stronghold that rivaled the mightiest kingdoms of Europe. William Urban, in his book The Teutonic Knights, A Military History, reveals that this conquest was more than a religious crusade. It was a calculated act of empire building. The Teutonic Knights weren't just warriors. They were architects of power, erecting castles and reshaping the Baltic landscape. With Prussia as their base, they soon turned their gaze toward Poland and Lithuania, igniting a rivalry that would simmer for generations. Poland and Lithuania, the birth of a powerhouse. To the south, the Kingdom of Poland was undergoing a resurgence under King Władysław Jagiełło, a leader whose cunning and resolve would prove pivotal. In 1386, Jagiełło cemented his legacy by marrying Queen Jadwiga of Poland, ascending to the Polish throne. Yet his influence stretched beyond Poland's borders. As Grand Duke of Lithuania, a sprawling, forested realm that had clung to its pagan traditions until its official conversion to Christianity that same year, he wielded authority over a vast and diverse territory. This union of Poland and Lithuania forged a formidable alliance, one that historian Sven Ekdahl, in the Battle of Tannenberg 1410, describes as a direct challenge to the Teutonic Order's dominance. Under Jagiełło and his cousin, Grand Duke Vytautas of Lithuania, these two nations merged their strengths, Poland's disciplined knights and Lithuania's fierce warriors, creating a force that could no longer be dismissed. The spark of war, Teutonic aggression. By 1409, the simmering tensions between the Teutonic Knights and this rising Polish-Lithuanian bloc boiled over. The Knights, hungry for control over Lithuania's rich lands, launched a bold raid into Lithuanian territory. This wasn't a mere skirmish. It was a deliberate provocation designed to fracture the alliance and assert Teutonic supremacy. Poland's response was swift and uncompromising. War was declared. The Teutonic Knights under Grandmaster Ulrich von Jungingen brimmed with confidence. Their army boasted some 15,000 troops, knights in gleaming armor, battle-hardened mercenaries, and sturdy infantry, anchored by heavy cavalry renowned for its devastating charges. Yet they underestimated the unity and resolve of their foes, a miscalculation that would soon prove costly. The armies assemble. By the spring of 1410, both sides had marshaled their forces for the inevitable confrontation. Ulrich von Jungingen led his 15,000-strong Teutonic host, a disciplined war machine feared across Europe for its armored knights and tactical precision. Opposing them, King Jagiełło and Grand Duke Vytautas commanded a combined army of nearly 39,000, an eclectic coalition of Polish knights, Lithuanian warriors, and swift Tatar horse archers from the steppes, skilled in lightning-fast strikes. Historian Darius Baronas, in the Battle of Grunwald, notes a critical distinction. While the Teutonic Knights relied on their heavily armored might, the Polish-Lithuanian forces embraced agility. This blend of mobility and numbers set the stage for a showdown unlike any other, with the fields of Tannenberg as the crucible. The stakes of the struggle. For the Teutonic Order, victory promised more than battlefield glory. It would shatter the Polish-Lithuanian alliance, secure their grip on the Baltic, and affirm their status as a preeminent European power. For Poland and Lithuania, the stakes were existential. The Knights had long encroached on their lands, and defeat would leave them vulnerable to subjugation. Triumph, however, would herald their emergence as a dominant force, capable of challenging the medieval world's mightiest realms. The armies faced off, banners snapping in the wind, their clash poised to reshape the future of Eastern Europe. The clash begins. Dawn broke on July 15, 1410, over the Masurian fields, a vast, open expanse offering little cover. The Teutonic Knights arrayed their forces in tight formations, their heavy cavalry poised to smash through enemy lines with lances and swords. Across the field, the Polish-Lithuanian army adopted a looser, more adaptable stance, mixing cavalry, infantry, and the nimble Tatar archers. Stephen Turnbull, in Tannenberg, 1410. Disaster for the Teutonic Knights emphasizes how these contrasting strategies shaped the day. The Teutonic Knights staked their hopes on raw power. Their foes countered with speed and versatility. The first blow, Teutonic charge. The battle erupted as the Teutonic Knights launched their assault. Their cavalry thundered forward, a wall of steel aimed at breaking the Polish lines. The initial impact was staggering. Knights clashed with Polish defenders in a deafening roar of metal and muscle. For a moment it seemed the Teutonic onslaught might prevail, their disciplined ranks pushing deep into enemy territory. But the Polish-Lithuanian forces held firm. Under Jagiełło's steady command and Vytautas' daring leadership, their lighter cavalry began to skirt the edges of the Teutonic advance, striking at vulnerable flanks. This adaptability threw the Knights off balance, forcing them to contend with threats from multiple directions. The turning tide, Tatar archers unleashed. As the fighting intensified, the Tatar horse archers emerged as a decisive force. Mounted on swift ponies, they darted across the battlefield, loosing volleys of arrows into the Teutonic ranks before vanishing from reach. Their hit-and-run tactics, honed on the vast Eurasian steppe, sowed confusion among the knights, who struggled to respond to this relentless harassment. Darius Baronas highlights their impact in the Battle of Grunwald, noting how the Tatars' fearless mobility disrupted Teutonic cohesion. While the knights excelled in close combat, they faltered under this unorthodox pressure, their rigid formations beginning to fray. A fatal error, Teutonic overreach. Emboldened by their early gains, Ulrich von Jungingen pressed his advantage, ordering a deeper push into the Polish-Lithuanian lines. It was a bold gambit, but a grave mistake. The advance stretched his forces thin, opening a gaping hole in their defenses. Vytautas seized the moment. His cavalry, bolstered by the Tatars, surged into the breach, encircling the Teutonic Knights in a deadly pincer. Stephen Turnbull describes this as the battle's pivotal juncture. The Knights, accustomed to dictating terms, found themselves trapped, their once impregnable lines crumbling under the onslaught. The Teutonic collapse. Chaos engulfed the Teutonic ranks. Hemmed in and overwhelmed, their heavy cavalry, now isolated and exhausted, couldn't withstand the relentless Polish-Lithuanian assault. As their infantry buckled, the retreat began. Not an orderly withdrawal, but a desperate rout. Pursued by their foes, the knights were cut down in droves, their proud banners trampled into the mud. By dusk, the fields of Tannenberg lay strewn with the fallen, the Teutonic dream of dominance shattered. Aftermath. A devastating toll. When the dust settled, the Teutonic losses were staggering, some 8,000 dead and thousands more captured, with total casualties, including wounded and missing, nearing 15,000, according to varying historical estimates. Ulrich von Jungingen himself lay among the slain, a crushing blow to the order's leadership. The Polish-Lithuanian alliance, though victorious, paid a price, around 5,000 casualties, but emerged triumphant. William Urban writes in the Teutonic Knights, a military history that this defeat struck at the order's very soul, eroding its morale and might. Poland and Lithuania ascendant. For King Jagiełło and Grand Duke Vytautas, Tannenberg was a triumph of historic proportions. It affirmed their alliance as Central Europe's new powerhouse, elevating Jagiełło's stature across the continent. Sven Ekdahl notes in the Battle of Tannenberg 1410 that this victory laid the groundwork for diplomatic gains, securing Poland-Lithuania's influence for decades to come. The Teutonic decline. The Teutonic Order, meanwhile, staggered from the blow. Though it retained its Prussian core, its Baltic ambitions were irreparably damaged. Appeals for aid from Hungary and the Holy Roman Empire yielded little. And, as Darius Baronas observes, the Order's once formidable shadow began to fade. The Second Treaty of Thorn, 1411, In 1411, the Second Treaty of Thorn brought a formal end to the conflict. Poland reclaimed lost lands, but the order clung to Prussia, albeit as a weakened shell of its former self. The treaty marked a bittersweet pause, not a restoration of Teutonic glory. A wider impact, shifting powers. Tannenberg's echoes rippled beyond the battlefield. Muscovy eyed the order's decline as a chance to expand, while Poland-Lithuania drew new allies, reshaping Europe's balance of power. The medieval world had shifted, and a new era loomed on the horizon. Tannenberg's enduring legacy. The victory at Tannenberg became more than a military feat. It was a testament to unity and resilience. For Poland and Lithuania, it symbolized defiance against domination, a legacy that would inspire generations. The Teutonic Order's fall marked the end of an epoch, proving that even the mightiest powers could be humbled by a determined alliance. In the annals of history, Tannenberg stands as a defining moment, a clash that reshaped a continent and left an indelible mark on the medieval world.